Could something special happen with this Rams secondary? This is Ram.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the Ram Cave, I'm Joe Tarosian, and this is RamView, the June the 7th, 2023 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 206-6990 in the 661 area code. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word. KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. So we are back in the midst of it. It is a nice overcast day, perfect June gloom without the mugginess. And I'm really happy to be here. We're going to get to some Rams stuff. Rams cut a player. There's a potential here that struck me as I looked at the Rams secondary. We'll talk about that. I want to talk one more time about Leonard Floyd, and then we'll lay him to rest as a Ram. And then, of course, today is James Harris Day, as far as I'm concerned. Not a good day because I was a big James Harris fan, but we'll get into that. Okay, real quick here. Let's take care of just the initial upfront business. NBA Finals Game 2. I am rooting for Denver. I find myself rooting for Denver. I don't know if they're going to win it. I'm not saying they're going to win it. I'll be happy for Miami if they do. I'm actually enjoying basketball for a change. Usually it's few and far in between before you enjoy a game of basketball, especially the NBA product, and as opposed to two personalities. And so looking forward to that. The Phoenix Suns are reportedly ready to get rid of Chris Paul, put him in the street. And I've already heard speculation about him. Hey, would the Lakers be interested? That's exactly what the Lakers need. Wouldn't that be awesome? You bring in Chris Paul, and you've got Anthony Davis, and then you got Father Time, LeBron James. So you got 50 games a year covered. I don't know about the other 32. And don't forget, Austin Reavis, the guy who's now hooked up with Taylor Swift, according to all these social media rumors, because she's been seen with him. Austin Reeves is a free agent, and the Lakers have a right to match, but he could be getting some dough. Also, the other thing I wanted to add before we move on here to the NFL is Anthony Davis, come August, is eligible to be offered a 3-year extension by the Lakers that could pay him up to 55 rocks a year, $55 million a year. Would you do that with Anthony Davis? That's a great question. I don't think I would. I think the run this year might have been some fool's gold, and I think you need to be careful if you're a Laker fan. Okay, last ad, edge players. I've talked about edge players. I was hearing talk, why was Leonard Floyd, why did it take so long for Leonard Floyd to get signed? Maybe Leonard Floyd was only good because he played alongside Aaron Donald. Yeah, that always helps, right? That always helps. But Leonard Floyd is not what you would call your classic zip. You know what I'm saying? He's not your guy that's going to line up on the outside. When I throw out Justin Houston, Melvin Ingram, Robert Quinn type. One of the things that's always overlooked about Leonard Floyd is he is solid on the edge. He really holds the edge, and I think that was his greatest gift. And then he picked up about 9 sacks a year for the Rams. Now, some of that was because of Aaron Donald, but I just heard some poo-pooing of Leonard Floyd that he gets his sacks because of Aaron Donald. Well, he picked up half of his sacks last year after Aaron Donald went down, 4 to 5 of them after Aaron Donald went down. And so the reason I think Leonard Floyd was in the street is that, one, we're seeing a surplus of edge rushers right now. Players that formerly would have played other positions are moving to the edge. The edge guys are incredible athletes. It's like seeing receivers. There are edge rushers almost in every draft. And so we're finding more edge rushers. And you can draft a guy, develop him, get some clicks out of him, and then not have to pay double digits for him. So a player like Leonard Floyd, I believe, was on the market because he was 31 years old. Justin Houston is still producing, but Justin Houston's turning 34. That's why he's on the market. Jadeveon Clowney is 30. Not a lot of high production there from Clowney, but he's 30. Frank Clark turns 30 next week. Melvin Ingram's 34, and Robert Quinn is 33. And so I think you're seeing some of these classic edge guys. They're on the market still because of their age. Why would I bring them in when maybe, just maybe, I can get clicks out of Byron Young, Nick Hampton, O'Shawn Mathis, and some of the other guys around the league? And so I don't think it's an indictment on Leonard Floyd that he wasn't picked up earlier. Leonard Floyd's a solid NFL guy. Is he an absolute zip linebacker or edge guy that's going to go get the quarterback every time? No, I think his game was a little more nuanced than that. And but yet he was still averaging 9 sacks a year for the Rams. So give the dude some credit here. Okay, we're done with that. Leonard Floyd has now gone off with Von Miller and everyone else to the Buffalo Bills. We've moved on. Okay, Ram news today. They cut undrafted free agent running back Tyon Evans out of Louisville. That's a bummer when you don't even make it to August, right? You don't make it to the August cuts, and to get cut out of OTAs. And obviously, you can see the workouts. Ronnie Rivers is still playing. So Ronnie Rivers is getting work. The team has some investment in Ronnie Rivers. They seem to like him, let alone Kyrene Williams, Zach Evans, and who was it? Oh my gosh, that guy, Cam Akers, that's his name. And so the Rams have some depth there at running back. And so I guess it's good for Tyon that he was let go early. But yeah, he was real long shot to make this team, but it's a bummer to get released out of OTAs. Okay, here's the thought that came to me. If I say to you, Ronnie Lott, Eric Wright, Carlton Williamson, and Dwight Hicks, what do you think of? Now, the tip off there for the casual fan is Ronnie Lott. For the little more than casual fan or Ram fan, you do remember Eric Wright, and maybe you remember Dwight Hicks. But the reason I bring this up, in 1981, the San Francisco 49ers drafted Ronnie Lott 8th overall, Eric Wright out of Missouri 40th overall, and Carlton Williamson 65th overall out of Pittsburgh. And that was their starting secondary. They put them next to a guy named Dwight Hicks, who was in his third year, and he was a veteran, a 3-year veteran. And that 1981 team went on to win a Super Bowl. And I don't see any Ronnie Lotts in the Rams secondary. But when you think about what Ronnie Lott, Eric Wright, and Carlton Williamson accomplished as freshmen in the league, and then you add a glue guy like Dwight Hicks, it got me thinking that, if the Rams secondary, they've invested a lot in Kobe Durant, Darian Kendrick, Travius Hodges Tomlinson, if these guys, and maybe Robert Rochelle, maybe he's the Lynn Thomas, maybe Robert Rochelle, if these guys can develop, which I remember going into the 81 season, when they said the 49ers were going to start three rookies in the secondary, I remember as a Ram fan kind of salivating. Yeah, I loved Ronnie Lott, but 3 rookies in the secondary, and one was a guy that was a refugee. The glue guy was a refugee from Canada, Dwight Hicks, and then a second rounder and a third rounder. You just didn't think it was going to happen, and then the 49ers ended up going to the Super Bowl, and so you look at that and you wonder, could Jordan Fuller be the Rams' Dwight Hicks? Now, let's give credit to Dwight Hicks. He played in 4 Pro Bowls, won 2 Super Bowls. Carlton Williamson won 3 rings with the 49ers. One of them was on injured reserve. He was in a couple of Pro Bowls. Eric Wright was a shutdown corner, and of course Ronnie Lott is all world. But you look at that, and that secondary won a Super Bowl. You look at the Rams, you look at Jordan Fuller, and you think how good he was his rookie year. And then even in 2021, which does get overlooked, he was ranked by PFF, Pro Football Focus, 19th overall out of 92 safeties. And he's got size. He's 6'2", 203. And when he's healthy, he is not a bad player. His hamstring seems to have healed. He's good in coverage. He's a good tackler. And so you wonder, could he be the glue guy for Kobe Durant and Darian Kendrick and THT? That'll be really interesting to see because, Travius Hodges-Tomlinson's the steal of the draft. Darian Kendrick dropped to the 6th round because he had off-field issues. And Kobe Durant, we saw him last year make plays. There's a lot of potential with those guys. I don't know where Robert Rochelle fits in, but if this team makes a huge leap with Jordan Fuller as a glue guy holding that secondary together, the veteran back there, this could be interesting. It could be really, really interesting to see what the Rams can accomplish. And of course, alongside Fuller will either be Russ Yeast or Quentin Lake. So I think it's a hopeful project there to think about, a hopeful thought that if those guys can compete, then maybe the Rams can compete. If the Rams can get a little bit of defense, they can get a little bit of defense, they can go from a low-end projection of 7-10 to a high-end projection of 9-8 and maybe 10-7. And 9-8 in this NFC puts you in the wild card hunt, puts you in the wild card space. So something to think about. Hey, Joe. Hey, thank you so much, Ray, for clicking on. That is cool. Thank you for being here. So real quick here. Yeah, by the way, my name is Joe Terosian. I was a sports writer for 21 years. I magazines, newspapers, everything. And I was one of the founding members at Mid-Valley Sports. And now I do RamView, thanks to my sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto Repair. Also, I wrote a book. I've written several books, actually, but I've written 2 high school football books. This is Tangent Dreams. It was very well received. It did very well financially for me. So I write books, and I do this to support myself because my day job is I pastor a small church in Burbank Faith Nazarene, and you can follow us at Burbank Faith Nazarene right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual. That's our channel, and you can check it out. Also, you can see that on Facebook and other places. Twitter, you see links there, and our website, burbankfaithvirtual.com. And finally, my Twitter handle is JoeT13B. JoeT13B. Follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. Great. We got the commercial in. All right. On this day in history, in 1977, it was a brutal day. The Rams traded James Harris, the NFC's leading passer in 1976, to the San Diego Padres for a 4th round, turned out to be 99th overall pick in 1979. James Harris, who broke barriers. James Harris, who was drafted by the Buffalo Bills in 1969, was signed late in the 72 season by the Rams and became their backup quarterback in 73. James Harris became the starting quarterback in 74, guided the Rams to the NFC Championship game in 74, played well in 75 and 76, obviously. He was traded. And the truth is when you read the story about James Harris, yeah, we know what the black quarterback goes through. And I will say this, that in one instance that James Harris got a lot of hate mail, right? A lot of racist mail and all that stuff came in, and it was probably maybe 1,000, right? But the tragedy is that he didn't know about the millions that did support him, the thousands that did support him. But we know how it is when all we need is one negative thing, and that's the thing we remember outside of all these positives. I had a friend being elected for a position, and there were 101 votes cast, and they got 99 of them. And the thing that bugged them the most was who were the 2 that didn't vote for them. And so I can imagine how much that mail hurt, and how much it hurt not to have the faith of the Rams organization. When you read William Roden's 4th and a Mile, it's about the black quarterback. It's a great book. When you read Chuck Knox's biography, you read that Chuck Knox, the Rams head coach in the 70s, liked James Harris. He supported James Harris. Now, he didn't run an offense to support a strong-armed quarterback, but he liked James Harris. But from the top, Carroll Rosenblum wasn't a big James Harris fan. Also, Carroll Rosenblum loved the splash, right? He loved the popular guy that was going to be ticket. Remember drive ticket sales. The Rams were considered boring in the 70s. Chuck Knox comes in and goes 12-2, 10-4, 12-2, 10-3-1. And the argument was the Rams were too boring. That's winning, right? Especially when you think the team went from 1955 to 1966 without a winning record until George Allen came. And then when George Allen came, they made a couple of playoff appearances. And then now they were consistently going to the playoffs, and it was considered boring. And maybe some dreamers were dreaming about the 1951 Rams and everything. But Harris struggled in terms of the confidence of the team. There was a stretch there where the team really wanted Ron Jaworski. There was a stretch there where they really wanted Golden Boy Pat Hayden. And then, of course, what did they do? Harris leads the conference in passing, and then they sign Joe Namath in early May of 77. A month later, James Harris is traded to the Chargers. And real bummer. With the Rams, Harris was 21-6 as a starter. It's a different era then. It was before the passing rules were relaxed in terms of defenders and everything. They could still basically mug you until the ball was in the air. Harris had 33 touchdown passes, 27 interceptions, but he was a good quarterback. Maybe sometimes he started slow, but 21-6 as a starter, he was a good quarterback. And maybe if he had the confidence of the organization, things would have been different for him. He got moved to San Diego, and he ended up starting, I think, like the first 9 games of 1977 with mixed results. That wasn't a great Charger team. It was the year before John Jefferson came into the league. Charlie Joyner was starting to develop. Joyner had played with him, I think, at Grambling, I think, and stuff. But it was before Kellen Winslow. It was before the Chuck Muncie deal, before Don Coryell. Tommy Prother, I think, was still there in 77. And he struggled. I think he threw 5 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions. And when you read William Roden's book, you read that he talked about after the 76 season, the heart kind of went out of him. And he kind of just lost his passion. I think, dude was hurt, man. Dude was hurt. Leads the conference in passing. If you get a chance, go on YouTube, type in Rams Dolphins 1976, and see his 400-yard passing day against the Dolphins that led the Rams to a victory. That was an awesome 31-28 win, brought them back from a couple touchdowns back. So big James Harris fan. That pick the Rams got, usually Don Klosterman does a good job with that pick the Rams got. 4th round, 99th overall. They drafted a defensive back out of Illinois named Derwin Tucker. He didn't make the team. He never played it down in the NFL. And so pretty much how it rolls there when you think of James Harris. But if you think about James Harris, love James Harris. Just and the other thing I like about James Harris was he was just big and strong, and you wonder what he would have. He projects forward. He projects into this generation, and with someone that would embrace him. Again, I don't know if Lamar Jackson would have the success he's had if not for going to a place like Baltimore that says, hey, we're going to build around your skills. Would Patrick Mahomes have the success he had if not for landing with Andy Reid? And you got to wonder, like all the coaches that came through Detroit couldn't figure it out, but Sean McVay saw Matthew Stafford for what he could be. If somebody was around in a later generation, what would James Harris have been able to produce? I don't know. I get excited talking about James Harris. Okay, looking at the Rams schedule, as we've been doing this with each episode, we've done the previous 3. Rams Seattle, Rams Frisco, Rams Cincy, the Monday night game. We've broken down the defense for these teams, each game in each of the last 3 episodes. And so today we're at week 4, and the Rams are going to Indianapolis to Lucas Oil on October 1st, 2023. That'll be a 10 a.m. game, likely, and they're playing the Colts. So all time, the Colts lead the series 23-20 and 2 ties. That was a pretty serious rivalry, the Rams and Colts, in the George Allen days in the late 60s, old Coastal Division, I think. And right now, As it stands now, I have the Rams projected to win this game. I see them getting this as their first win of the season. They won there in 2021, and I think they're going to win here this year. Likely, the Colts are going to be starting either Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew. And Minshew, we know what he is. Anthony Richardson, I don't think his time is now, and so it'll be something interesting to see. The losses, the edge guy, Yannick Nagaku, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's still a free agent. And the one that really stings, especially right now for the Colts, is Stephon Gilmore. Had a real bounce back year for the Colts, and he parlayed that into a contract with the Cowboys, and he left. Of course, they've added Gardner Minshew, they've added Samson Ebukam, and they drafted 12 players. 12 players. They did. The Rams drafted 14. So you think about what the Colts were doing with their new coach. They got Richardson. The rest of the draft looks like the Rams mock draft that people were posting, right? Julius Brents, the corner out of Kansas State, Josh Downs, receiver out of North Carolina, Blake Freeland, offensive tackle, BYU, Adenawa Adebore, the defensive tackle out of Northwestern, Darius Rush, the cornerback out of South Carolina, Daniel Scott, safety out of California, Will Mallory, tight end out of Miami, Evan Hull, running back out of Northwestern. All these guys, all of them, at various points this offseason were mock draft candidates for the Rams, and it looked like Irsay just grabbed them and said, "Hey, draft these guys right here." When you look at the Colts, we're going to focus on their defense today. We won't talk about their offense. We'll talk about it in a later episode. But let's just look at their defense. There's not a whole lot here right now. Along the front, they signed Ebukam. They have a guy named Grover Stewart. Grover Stewart's been a solid player. 35th out of 127 graded last year on the interior line. DeForest Buckner is a stud, graded 8 out of 127. And then Kwity Paye just didn't do a whole lot last year. Kwity Paye, 44 out of 119. So it's solid. It's respectable. Linebackers are hurting. EJ Speed is a guy that is just starting last year for the first time. He's slated to start. He got spot duty last year. Shaq Leonard, who is a great player for a while, he only played 3 games last year, and at 28, he seems like he's on the decline. And Zaire Franklin started for the first time last year, and he's pedestrian at best going into his 6th campaign. And so, there's not a lot to fear there at linebacker. And then you get to corner. They've lost Stephon Gilmore, but that was okay because Isaiah Rodgers, the other corner, was the 5th-ranked cornerback out of 118 last year. So everything going good for that guy. He was drafted 6th round, 211th overall in 2020. So, wow, they're not paying him any money. He's one of the best corners in the league, but oops. Isaiah Rodgers' name has come up in terms of gambling in the NFL, and he could be lost for half the season or the full season. He's admitted it, and supposedly there's other players involved, but that one really stings. I talked to ultimate Colt fan, Big Rich in Alhambra, and he is very disappointed. I can't use the description he used here, but he was very disappointed with Isaiah Rodgers and what's pending there. That really hurts the Colts. They had drafted Julius Brents, and Julius Brents was what? Oh man, he was 44th overall. So I think the idea was he slides in alongside Rodgers, takes the Gilmore role, but now we don't know. The other corner, Kenny Moore, had a bad year, and he's just turned 29. Darius Rush has a chance to play here. The safeties, Rodney Thomas, Julian Blackman, they're nothing special. So Daniel Scott, the 5th rounder out of California, has a chance to play here. The one advantage the Colts have is they got close to 24 rocks in cap space. So if they needed to make a deal, needed to go do something, they can. But this team doesn't look like it's going to bode too well, especially with the moves Houston has made, especially the steps Jacksonville took last year, and especially with Mike Vrabel coaching in Tennessee. They might be an average team in Tennessee, but it's Mike Vrabel. They do a good job there. So I think the Colts are in for a long season, and I think it's the opportunity for the Rams to capitalize. This defense, will be the most hospitable defense the Rams will see the first month of the season. I expect them, if they're healthy, to take advantage of it. I don't see anybody here, especially if Rodgers goes down, being able to handle. You're going to put Julius Brents, a rookie, on Cooper Kupp. I don't see them being able to handle the Rams. I don't see them being able to threaten the Rams getting to the quarterback. And so I do see the Rams. This is a win. So the Rams will win this game. So I predicted, I hate to say the predicted, but I got the loss week 1 in Seattle. They're going to lose that one. I got the win. I got the loss week 2 against Frisco at SoFi. I got the loss week 3 in Cincinnati on a Monday night in Ohio. But this one in Indianapolis, I can see the Rams picking up a win here and going to 1-3, and that will start. We'll start to see if this team develops. And like I said at the top of the show, really fascinating to see, maybe could this secondary that does have so much potential maybe develop with Jordan Fuller as the glue guy. All right. It was a stone groove being with you. I want to thank Ray for clicking in live, and I know others watch this later. Tim Burns, all of you guys, Big Rich, everyone else that watches this. Rob, the Steeler fan in Missouri, and S.A. Bob in Santa Ana. I just want to say thank you to everyone that clicks on here. And please check out our sponsors, Kistler Law, Temple City Auto Repair. Follow me, Joe T13B, on Twitter. And please hit like and respond as we build our footprint here, heading closer and closer to the start of the NFL season. God bless. Take care. I will not be on Friday. I will be back live on Monday. I am out of town this Friday. God bless. Take care. And we will see you on Monday.